that.
Welcome to our Wednesday afternoon homebuyer seminar. We do this every Wednesday at 5 p.m. unless we do it at 4. Today we're doing it at 5. I'm Bill Gross. I'm a real estate broker here in Los Angeles, California, along with my good friend and colleague.
Yes, Patricia Castillo.
And our good friend, lender, frozen on the Zoom call again, I think, Gustavo Segura. So I can tell you his rates are much better than his internet connection. There he is. Say hi, Gustavo. Yeah, I think like I said, his service and rates are much better than his internet connection. So I'm all flash with the internet connection, but I can't.
It looks like he's muted.
Oh, he's muted. You were talking. Maybe you got a phone call or something midstream. Okay, so what's happened in the marketplace, Patricia? What do you see going on?
Still a lot of buyer demand, but I do, see some hesitancy in actually clients pulling the trigger and writing an offer. I have my listing in Long Beach that has been, pretty active. Lots of people coming through, but still kind of on the sidelines. It's like they still want to make double, triple, quadruple sure that this is the right property to purchase. So I've seen a couple of listings fall out of escrow and go back on the market. And, there's nothing wrong with the property. It's just that sometimes buyers are kind of getting cold feet right now, especially with the homes that are higher in price. Mm-hmm. So it's just, really providing that education, guiding them through that process, and really looking at the offer as well to make sure that they are qualified and not going to fall out of escrow for that reason because of a, disqualification.
Interesting. I have a new listing went on the market yesterday and got 2 offers today. So, there's still demand there for property. There's still buyers out looking, no question about it. But the interest rates are exciting. Gustavo, what's going on with interest rates? Why do you keep increasing the rates on us? You were on the call last week, and Patricia and I spent the whole phone call complaining about you raising interest rates. Why do you keep raising interest rates?
I know, I figure summer's over, good times are done. We're heading into fall. It's a scary Halloween rates,
No, don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that we crossed 8. We crossed 8. We came down a little bit, and right now we're right below it. Tomorrow we got a GDP numbers coming out. That may be, it's either going to go up again or it's going to come down, depending on what that GDP number comes out and shows the strength of the economy. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
So okay, so exciting stuff. Not exactly for the meek of heart, but how significant is it when it goes from 7.5 to 7.9? How different is that for the buyer's payment?
Yeah, so I was looking at around 700,000, 750, somewhere around there alone, and this could be close to $200. Like you said, if it goes up 0.5% or so, so it's something that it definitely makes you think about it. So I can definitely understand, and I can completely, understand a budget. And once the rate changes and, having to call them back, having to go through the numbers, definitely a tough conversation, but it's one that has to be done in order to make sure that everybody knows where we're at. At the same time, today was not a very good day for rates. Tomorrow we come out with some good numbers for GDP, the market reacts, and it may be $100 cheaper tomorrow for them as well. So I love to make those calls. And it's something that, everybody should just have a very close connection right now with their lending partner.
Yeah, and I also think that you're not buying the rate necessarily today. You've got to get started and get qualified. And I think that, if rates go up, what everybody projects is if rates go up, sales go down, prices will go down. At some point, there's a trade-off that works for the buyer where it's kind of a break for them, or a trade-off, or a even situation. So I think it's one of those things where you have to get in the game, get prepared, see what you qualify for, and get in shop. How are lenders as far as backlog and timing, getting things done? I would imagine that there's more opportunity to move quickly given the current situation of the market? What do you see?
There's definitely some quick movement, and yes, I can understand where, if there's less loans, then that means that they can go faster, right? But unfortunately, a lot of lenders will adjust their manpower as well. So, if they have less underwriters, less processors, all that kind of stuff, they're working more to staying within an industry standard of turnaround time. So if it is a pre-approval the same day, if it is a loan approval within 48 hours, they tend to have enough manpower to get that done. If they have a lot of loans coming in, they will hire more. If they don't have, then they will adjust, but they don't want to adjust to where all of a sudden it goes from 48 hours on the first loan approval to like 4 days, right? So they want to make sure that they stay within a good competitive edge with everybody else.
Yeah. I've been contacted pretty quickly, mostly recently with the last property I sold. It was literally 2 days after, accepting an offer and opening escrow. We were already at the property performing the appraisal. So it happened really, really fast. So I think it does seem like lenders are moving at a pretty good speed right now. Because of that reason too, volume is a little lower.
Yeah, I think that you better perform in this market, or else you're not going to run for long, right? I mean, I'll say as an agent, for me, my business is pretty consistent. I'm working a lot harder to get the business, and I better, or else I won't have it. Like it's easy to lose deals, and in a market like this, you lose a couple of deals, you're out of business. So I don't want that to happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Same with lenders. I think same position. They'd be really careful right now.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, appraisers, inspections, all the inspectors that go out there, they have that reduction. So they're responding quickly. Where before, you send out a request for an appraisal and you would not get a response, right? They have to do 10 of them a day or something. Right. Now they have 1 or 2 and they're like, jump on it, which is why they're like, yeah, we'll go today. We'll go tomorrow, So everybody's reacting to the volume that's out there right now.
Right. Which, well, it'd be nice if this was, I think I'm calling this the new normal, personally, because I just think this is going to be like this for a while. I don't see interest rates dropping tremendously. I mean, look, we can go into world war and everything's going to change, but based on where we are now, I think this is the new normal until something changes.
Yeah. And I think for that reason too, the lenders are trying to keep up with what's going on in the current market. So because buyers are being a little bit more challenged right now with getting pre-qualified, and not everybody can afford an 8% rate for a mortgage payment, there's usually adjustments that'll start happening once we see what that trend is. So prices are staying where they're at. They're holding steady at a higher rate. Rates are also where they're at a higher rate. So for example, Fannie Mae, we were just talking about that. They just announced that starting next month, after November 18th, they will accept a 5% down payment for a loan, for an FHA loan, to get into a multifamily unit.
How about that?
Yeah, which could be a duplex, a triplex, even for what am I trying to say? A quadruplex, 4 homes on a lot. So quadruplex. So that's pretty exciting. I think if you're going to be occupying one of the units, then that's definitely going to help you, because you can use the other rents towards your qualification, and also look to putting down only 5%, whereas before it was 50 to 25%. So it's a pretty significant decrease if you're looking to get into multifamily, which is also known as house hacking, if you're living in one unit and renting out the rest.
Well, I think usually house hacking refers to a house where you live in a bedroom and rent out the rest, or live in the living room and rent out the bedrooms. But I mean, that's the same concept, right? You want the property to pay for itself and you're living there for free.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I house hack. I have a house my wife lives in, and my wife's dog lives in. Just kidding. She can't hear me.
Yeah,
She's not. She's at the house. She's at my daughter's house watching the grandkids. So I can talk to my wife while we're on this call. By the way,
I was gonna say that. And there's different programs like that they're trying to adjust, right? It's things that are not
Mhm.
going away. How do we make it? We talked about the buy downs, the short-term buy downs, right? Being able to work with those. This is another example. How can they make it more affordable? Also, too, on FHA, I have a lender that will allow for an ARM, so it's an adjustable loan, and that's fixed for 5 years, and that's something that could be, a very positive thing right now in the market, where you just talked about 8% rates, right, Patricia? So this is going to be an FHA loan, so it's almost 2% lower. So it's an adjustable loan. It's almost 2% lower than what the market is at right now. That really helps someone out, and that's something that could be fixed for 5 years, and then it would adjust every year after that. So that gives somebody 5 years on a fixed payment, get into that house. It's more comfortable payment, and then later on they can refinance. So there's lenders that are working with the different agencies in order to make sure that they can get programs out there that can help out during this time.
Right. And that didn't even exist before, getting an FHA loan in the
Yeah.
structure with an ARM feature and built
Right.
into it.
Yeah.
we live in crazy times,
Correct.
man. They're trying to find ways to get people in the houses. You know what's interesting, for all the news about the housing affordability crisis, the percentage of houses being bought by people to live in versus rental has gone up. Right.
Yeah.
The problem is, particularly in California, the problem is not everybody can afford a house. We're not building more houses, so not everybody can buy a house, and it's getting more expensive. So you have like people who can afford a house make a lot more than those people who don't, and that's what's going on. Is we're not building enough houses, and the houses that are being built that are being bid up and gone from, houses used to be like Ford, Chevy, GM kind of cars to now houses are more like Cadillac, Lexus, high-end brands to own a house is that kind of income strata now. And that wasn't always the case in America. And so that's what's really going on. But it's just fascinating how, for all the talk about the housing affordability, the people who are willing to, there's more people today skimping, saving, striving to get into a house by percentage, slightly more, not a lot, but slightly more than historically. Hey, if you guys are watching, I see on the live stream we have on YouTube, Facebook, some people on there. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. We'll catch them live. And if you have compliments from me, feel free to put them in the chat box as well. And then if you have any criticisms for the others, feel free to put that in, and I'll pass those on as well.
Right.
I'm very sensitive. I'm very, sensitive to that. Okay, so where do we see? Here we are. Here's another question. Today's Wednesday the 25th, week from yesterday's Halloween. Ooh, scary. You already see stuff going out, and go to stores, you have all the Halloween stuff out. But also here in Southern California, our holiday season starts right around the country. There's different seasons, and traditionally in our market, the summertime and early fall were the hot, things were going up. This time of year, I always found there were maybe half the sales, but half the buyers, half the inventory sellers. For those of us who work, there's always good business. But these are different times. What do you see going on? What's your guess, or what are you preparing for here as we enter the holiday seasons? But I'll start with you, Patricia.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm working throughout the rest of the year. A lot of agents take this time off because for that reason, they're either traveling, spending time with family, with their children, which is great. My daughter's grown already, so we spend time together, but she's working, I'm working. So I see a little bit of a slowdown right now as far as activity with, buyers actually making offers. And I do still see the demand, though. There's plenty of demand, and buyers are really wanting to get into a home. So with educating them on these options that are available now that were just released, like what Gustavo was just talking about, the ARM feature built into the FHA loan, that can significantly reduce their payment and increase their purchasing power. So things like that are very helpful for buyers to know, and also sellers. So putting their home on the market right now, there's kind of that that feeling of, is my home going to sell? Am I going to get any good offers? And so keeping everybody updated is what's really important. But I do see somewhat of a softening right now, and I don't see rates going down with everything that I've been keeping up with in the market and all the feds and their reports. They've said they're not going to significantly reduce their rates, but for the remainder of the year. Um, we'll probably see some, rate reduction happening next year by possibly February, March. So again, it's really what I'm telling my buyers right now that are looking to buy and are really interested in getting into a home is, you're marrying the price. In other words, the price will not change for the home, but you can change the rate in the future once the rates do come down. And so that's really the message that I'm driving home right now, because next year, when there is even a slight reduction in the rates, there's going to be so much more competition, which is going to increase the prices of the same home that they were thinking about buying, this year. So prices are going to go up as well.
Okay, so interesting. A lot of uncertainty, but sounds like you're saying that things are going to stay on this path we're on now. If I'm hearing you, if I summarize what you're saying, you don't see any big changes coming up. Gustavo, what do you see? See any big changes coming up? Are rates going to drop down and spark a new renaissance of home buying? Or are rates going to continue to go up or jump up in stalled sales? What do
I'm hoping that they don't go up, and I say that because, like you guys mentioned, it looks like the Fed is some of them are, and the Fed's made up of, you have your chairman, right, Jerome Powell, but then you have other presidents across the different banks. Some of them have an opinion of, hey, let's wait and hold, let's see what the market reacts, let's see what's going on, let's wait for the next report, right? The PCE report comes out this week. All that will give us new data. So I don't think it's gonna, go higher and higher, but I do think it's always takes time to come down, right? It reacts very quickly and it can go up, and it takes a little bit of time to come down. A lot of things, tend to be like that. So I think what I've been telling buyers is really to understand their situation of, what is their goal about buying a home? Because if they don't, they need a home for their family, they're outgrowing, next year, like Patricia said, this home could be much higher. And in that point, they're not going to be able to. So even though it may be a little bit tight now, maybe it's $150 tighter than they thought, it may be something that they need to budget for and really see if they can do it now rather than later, where, we may have an additional increase in appreciation.
I agree 100%. It was interesting this week. I was reviewing the news articles, and it made it sound, there's an article in Redfin, made it sound so unusual that people who were buying homes had to cut expenses. And it's like, yeah, the first time you get in a house, that's what it takes. Like most people, like my wife and I, when we moved in, we were living in an apartment. We had a bed, we had a dresser, we had a small kitchen table, 2 chairs. We didn't have anything, and we saved every penny to get in that first house. And then I remember, I'll never forget this. First year we had the house in Diamond Bar. We bought it for $142, and a year later sold it for $242. And $100,000 was like the easiest money I ever made in my life. But we scrimped and saved and fought to get in. And so, I tell people now, the people who have car payments and personal life expenses and can't afford to invest or can't afford to buy a house, those are choices, and they have consequences in the long run. I see a lot of people I know who don't own houses, going to sporting events. I know those football tickets it's fun to go, but when you're trying to save to buy a house to raise your family in the next 20, 30 years, maybe you watch it on TV and you don't go. And I think those are the people who traditionally bought their first house. They fought for it, they scrimped and saved for it, they budgeted for it. It was difficult. And I think, I just think our generations are getting a little softer now. But I think, I know how hard my parents and the life they put up with. And I know my wife and I, when we started our household, what we had to do. And so I would urge anybody today, if you're starting out a family or on your own single and you want to build wealth, yeah, you might want to consider giving up the Netflix and the cable TV and some of those things
Mhm.
for now, so that in the long run you'll be able to afford it. And then when you're wealthy and a superstar listing agent like Patricia, you can buy all those things and more afterwards. So, just kidding, Patricia. Well, not kidding on the great listing agent part, kidding on the spending money part. You're
Right.
still very reasonable. Okay, that's all I have for today. Anything else? Anything else we need to jump on today, Patricia or Gustavo?
No, I would just say don't lose sight of your dream. It's all possible. There's so many options right now for buyers for this reason, because of the rates and where we're at right now as we're nearing the end of the year. So there's definitely a way to make it happen. We just need to have a quick conversation and see where you're at today.
Don't lose sight of the dream. I love that.
Mhm.
Gustavo? I think Gustavo froze up and
There he is.
there he is. Gustavo, any last words?
Yeah, no, correct. I agree. You got to be able to reach out and talk to someone and be able to do that. Yeah, I agree. I think you have to be able to reach out, talk to someone, get feedback of where you're at exactly, and then go from there.
Very good. So he agrees with Patricia. We all agree with Patricia. Fantastic. And I would say the same thing. I love that line, Patricia. Don't give up on your dream. It's worth fighting for. If you have to fight for it, man, just hang on.
That's
Do what you
right.
have to do. So look, I think that's it for today. We do this every Wednesday at 5 p.m. I'm Bill Gross at Bill Gross Probate. Patricia is available. Call her at, Patricia, your phone number?
Yes, at 323-365-9909. And I was going to comment on, I saw a post from Dave Ramsey that said, if you're on a budget, you're trying to save money, you should not see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working there.
I agree so much. I can't believe how many friends go to these fancy meals and they post stuff. They're in Vegas and I could afford it. It's not that but I'm saving money for other things. We're investing, and I have grandkids I want to support, and we're doing pretty well. That's such a great line Dave Ramsey taught me a long time ago. I'll tell you a quick story on that, just to end up with. I have a friend who was he was in an automobile accident, had massive medical bills, and he wasn't very sophisticated. He didn't understand that because he didn't have insurance, they're going to charge him the whole thing. And in reality, there was some liability on the person in the accident. And so I helped him understand how to negotiate with the hospital, negotiate with the party. But when we talk about his finances, he was bankrupt. He owed more than a year's income in credit card debt. He told me what his car payment was. I thought he had one of those fancy F-150 trucks it was all tricked out. He had a basic Ford Bronco or something. Mm-hmm. And this guy had himself in real trouble. And another friend of ours who's very wealthy took him to lunch. And so after I helped this guy, he wanted to thank me and take me to lunch. And I went with him yesterday. I said, listen, the day your finances, you have assets more than your liabilities, you can buy me lunch. But until then, you're not buying anybody lunch. Unless it's McDonald's. And it's a 2-for-1. You get 2 Big Macs, you give them one, you have one. You're not buying lunch at restaurants.
Yeah.
Right? So I love that line by Dave Ramsey. Unless you're working at the restaurant, you should
not see the inside of it.
100%. Okay. On that note, my wife made my dinner here tonight. We're not going to any restaurants. Patricia, thank you as always. Gustavo, great to see you. Gustavo, stop raising the rates, man. Lay off those rates a little bit for us, okay?
That's right.
Okay. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.